some walking. She started heel yesterday, wasn't it? Off leash. You know, everything snowballs, so it builds up towards the next thing. So really, that beep really helped us a lot shape the heel. So we did it yesterday, and then we did a session today a little bit. I'm gonna see what she can do on the grass without the leash, and then if she needs the leash, I'll pick it up. Okay. Let's see what she knows here. Penny, that's a good girl. And I'm just gonna reward that because she's still so new in the process. I want her to know that me walking away, saying her name, does not mean to come with me. It just means look at me and wait for me to say what's next. And once she knows double down and stuff, and we're in a scene where I feel like it'll click with her, I'll look at her where she thinks she's being recalled or released, and then I'll ask her to double down, and just get in that brain to really adjust to the way that we like to operate with dogs. Okay. Penny, heel. Good girl. Good girl. My timing right there is like the beep's right with that word heel. I could have waited a little longer. I could have said heel and then beeped a second later because I know she doesn't know the word heel that well. And she would learn it better if I had a little more better timing on that. Good girl. That was like me, again, when I said heel, it was like me saying catch, and then me beeping was like throwing the ball, right? So I did it a little too close together for optimal, I think, for her to sink in. And I say heel, she gets confused for a second, like, what do you mean? And then I beep, and then she says, oh, that's the answer. Let them hang for a second with them saying, what do you mean? And then give them the answer. It lands a lot better than right as you're asking the question, you're giving the answer before you even give them a chance to hang on it and try to figure it out. Okay. Good heel. And I had the optimal chance too because I was saying good and having her stay. So I knew that if I hit here, there would be a pause. Like she might guess it right, but she would pause for a second, and then I'd be able to beep, and then it would lock into that brain a lot better. Now she might expect it because we just did that rep, but we'll see. Penny, good girl. So yeah, so she's getting it either way. There it goes, and that beep brings her back to this position-ish. Come on, honey. And there's pressure on right now. There's pressure on, it's still on, it's still on, it's still on, it's off. Okay, good girl. That's the teaching mechanism with the e-collar. It's on, it's on, it's on, it's off, right when she gets in position. Okay, that teaches her where position is, and she looks visually what it looks like when I'm in that spot, which looks like the back of my leg. So as I swing it, turn the pressure on, she closes the gap, it turns off, I give her a good girl right here. Okay, now that pressure right there is informative. It's not very high. She doesn't find it consequential. If she starts giving me attitude and not listening, then it will go higher. It depends on her attitude. So the dog eventually realizes that, and they work on low numbers because they know if they start fighting the system, it'll get hotter. Come on, honey. Good girl. See her finding that left spot. That's beautiful. Good girl. I'm not making it super difficult right now. Come on. Gail, she doesn't really want to keep walking. She'd rather lay down, and I don't blame her. I would too. If she starts to go out, it's a tag on the e-collar, and then I close the gap. And that pressure's still on, and then it's right there. Okay? It got a little hotter as she got closer to Julie, and a little cooler as she got closer to me for that information. Don't go over there, over here. It's a lot of silent stuff, which makes the dog have to pay attention to you because they have to look at me to get their cue. This is normal to look like this, especially if a dog is kind of, they've already been worked a little. We've been out here maybe 30 minutes, so she's kind of like done with it. She'd just rather go lay down. Good deal. Good deal, good deal. So I'm just gonna keep it real simple for it. So we got that nice distraction of Julie. Pressure is still on.
Yeah, and you guys, she only wants to come to me because I'm not making her do anything.
Yes, exactly. If we swap roles, which often we do, you'll see them want to come to me,
yes.
Not her. That's exactly right.
If I was the one trying to heal her, she'd be trying to go to Josh.
That's right.
They all do this.
Yeah, it's typical. But this is also why the dog's here, because they choose to listen when they want to. This isn't allowing her to. So if a dog has any biting or frustration issues where they overreact and they bite and they throw a fit, they'll do it in an exercise like this because they don't like the restraint. Good deal.
She looks so good.
That's normal for her to stop when you pet them in the beginning. She's learning all this stuff.
No, but it's crazy after this is the only second session. She just looks so good.
Yeah, we got to tighten it up in the next session. So remember that recall, guys, and then if she turns around and sees me doing this, it's not a recall, it's a heel. So it's like that beat, man. It's just like, it turns them around, it gets them to look at you. It's amazing. And it's consistent. So there's some pressure there, right? And then a beep to let her know what to do with it. That's a choice, so then the pressure's going up and it's getting less as she gets closer. So she made a choice like, well, I don't really want to. I went up a little, and then she says, okay. And then I dial back down. So we're talking through this. She's operant to it, so we don't see like her like, what the fuck's going on? She knows exactly what's going on. I've made her operant to the e-collar. So girl. So she understands that her behavioral choices are what causes it to turn on, and she knows in that moment how to turn it off at any time. So it's all her choices, right? It's like again, it's like this driving on the. I know I've been saying this same one over, but seriously, if you go and drive on the highway, you got to follow by those rules because that's how it goes. If you start breaking those rules, there's consequences. She just found herself in a lifestyle that has that same thing going on. It's like it's a good lifestyle, but there are rules, and you're welcome to break them. This is just what happens. So break them all you want, but this is what happens. That's the approach we take. Is, you know, I'm not going to do battle of the wills with you. You can break your command as much as you want. In fact, I'll set it up so that you do, and then I'll show you the consequences for the way that you behave around. And it shapes the behavior of the animal, just like we're shaped our behavior out in public by the laws as well. It's the same thing. So there's a little bit of kickback, just like in our teen years, where we're like, we don't want to conform, and we might go down that path because we don't want the 9 to 5 and all this shit, right? But eventually maybe we clean up our act, they'd say, and we listen a little bit. That's what the dogs go through. They go through this no, I don't want all my freedom to go away. I would still like to do whatever I want, whenever I want, always. And then that's just not life anymore because they have that necklace on. They got people that know how to use it, and their owners know how to use it, and they're operant to it, and they understand the whole system. Now, if it is applied, the dogs will behave civilly and like further domesticated. And that's because you're able to give them direction and you're able to give them consequences for when they buck the system, right? And that keeps them on the rails, just like us, okay? So it all makes sense and it works. This is a girl who's gone over the hump now a little bit, so she's not gonna give me a big fight. She might test it a little bit in a new situation because she's still got time. You know, she's not fully done with her program. We still gotta proof it. But she's over the hump, meaning she's tested the boundaries of the basic stuff of like the stay and the recall. And she's tested it to see, well, how bad does the consequence get? And every dog does that for themselves, however many times they need to. They go and bang their head on the wall as many times as they need to, and then they say, okay, fine, it doesn't work. And they turn around and they do what you ask them to do, or whatever the situation is, or to stop doing whatever they're doing. And then all of a sudden they get a pat on the head and praise, and and it's a much easier path. And so they start choosing that path. They go and bump their heads on the wall a few times, given different situations. They might go up and test that boundary a few times, and then they say, okay, that's that. And then they see that this is just happening. There's just rules in certain scenarios. And then what a dog does eventually, because we are giving them the easier path, there is affection over here. There is, you know, if you're acting like this, you're only getting good stuff. Now the dog says, it's not worth it. I've already done all that. I've been over there. It's not worth it. This is a much better lifestyle. And so now they're over the hump. They're not interested in fighting anymore. They're just like, I'm ready to learn and avoid the consequences and get all the praise. And so once they're there, which is where she is, then we get deep with the commands and we start really tightening it up so that they, like this stuff here, that we're sending her to the place, and the stuff that's a little more difficult because her brain's open and she's ready to learn everything, and she's excited that she's getting things right, and she's happy that she's understanding things. So now that she's there, we put a few sessions in the tightening up the nuts and bolts of what we got here as far as training, and then we're going to start really proofing it out in the real world so that she can get an understanding of how it's used out there, okay? And how the lifestyle is going to be going home, all right? And it's a really killer lifestyle, and it gives the owners control, and it gives the dogs more involvement in the lives of the owners. So, okay? Stay. I like that. I like that. And look, what follows with it is a mind that knows she's not going anywhere. That's the beauty of the down, is the state of mind of it, or the stay, right? The state of mind of it is like, it's not a choice. And how did we get there? Is that it is a choice. No, it is a choice. She is allowed to get up. Here's what happens when you do, though, right? Here's the consequence, and then the owner, and then I'm coming over here and directing you back to your down, and then I'm walking away, or rather back to your stay, your state of mind. This early on, I'm just saying stay. I'm not telling her to sit or down really. I'm just saying stay. If she downs, that's a product of her not staying and trying to go to Julie or go over here or get out of the situation, and it's always met with a correction, then a recall, which gets the dog right back to me because it's the first thing I learn, and I say stay again and we try again. The dog tries as many times as they need to, and that's, you know, and then so they've got it out of their system. So that's a dog who's like got experience now. She can get up at any time like this, right? There's a little correction right there. Right? That was just a little reminder, like, look, remember? And she's like, oh yeah, right? But I think that was her with the hand, because I'm talking with my hand. She still needs that experience, which you see we're getting there though, where this means nothing to you unless I say your name, right? If I don't say your name, then I can gesture, I can dance, and none of it means anything. But if I say Penny, or if you hear this beep, which can be me from a distance, it'll, you know, come to me if you hear this beep and pay attention. But if I just say your name, whoop, wait for direction, okay? So that was a good learning moment for her. Now I'm waving my hands around on purpose. You know? And then Penny. And that's okay because it's the end of the session, so she's anticipating that she knows we're done, we are done. But that doesn't mean to get up. It could have been, I could have been telling you to go away. I could have been telling you to double down. I could have been telling you good girl. You understand? Penny. Break. Good girl. See the space there? And you know, it doesn't, this is just during the teaching process, you know, to really make it clean for the dog. And then as they get better and better and better, and we're really getting ready to send them home, I'll act more like a person that doesn't really understand how to operate it. And you'll see the dog has the knowledge to figure out what that person, what that character is asking for. And they learn to figure it out on their own. And so that's a dog that feels like they feel really good to be around because they already know socially what to do and what's expected. All you really got to do is hit a little stim on here, and if you've been doing it even somewhat right, the dog, they understand what you're asking in that situation because we put them in all the common situations. We put them on the walks, downtown, in the woods, with other dogs, in the car, in the living room, in the kennel room, feeding time, play time. We do all of it, and it's part of the training. So.